Kicking off the countdown list, number 10 is her lip injections. Is it really a Kylie Jenner list if it doesn't talk about her lips? I mean, I feel like that would be a sin not to talk about her lips. For years now, her lips have always been the most talked about feature on her body. Believe it or not. Her fans first noticed that as she started to grow older, she seemed to have fuller lips. And for a while, she was telling her fans that it was just lip liner and a photo filter, making them look more full. Over time, she did finally come clean about getting lip injections, and it was revealed that she had them done when she was just a teenager. Turns out she had her first injections when she was just 16 years old. And she said that she kept it a secret because she didn't want people to look at her as a bad influence. Because obviously when you're 16, you have a lot of young fans, and you don't want to be putting needles in your face at 16 years old. Girl, too young. You know what I just thought of? That just means Kris Jenner had to sign off on that because you will need parental consent. Coming in next at number 9 is the envy between Kylie and Kendall. When your entire family is famous and everyone has their own businesses running, one might think that there would be some kind of competition going on. I mean, some of their products and businesses are like a conflict of interest with each other. Like they're in competition. But because they are all sisters and they are all very successful, each sister has said that they do not feel threatened by anyone else. But there was some tea spilled and a source claimed that Kendall and Kylie have a secret rivalry that's never really talked about. The sisters seem to be incredibly close to us because of their small age gap and their many collaborations throughout the years. But a source told Radar Online, I quote, "There's so much envy between these two, it's as though they're not happy when the other one is doing well." Some little sister competition going on. I mean, I get that. I feel like there might naturally just be a little bit of envy there. Cruising into number 8 is her hair. Just by following her or seeing some of her pictures, you'd be able to tell that her hair is fake. She switches up her look often, usually sporting bright colored wigs or changing up the length and color of her real hair with hair extensions. But her appearance is important for her brand for many reasons. You probably never stop to think about why she keeps changing her hair. And I don't blame you because there are like a million other more important things to think about. But it turns out that she makes these changes on purpose. She said that changing her hair makes her feel like a new person. And many of us females can totally relate to that. Despite her brand having to do with some of it, there seems to be more personal reasoning behind it too. I mean, I can't say I've never dyed my hair, wanting to feel like a different person. Like, you know, post breakup, I gotta get new hair, I'm a new me. And spot number 7 is her weird collection. Having a collection is not uncommon, even having weird collections isn't uncommon. People collect things all the time, and it kind of just depends on what you think is weird or not. I personally collect stuffed animals, and I'm serious. I call them my furry friends and I love them. And I would love if you guys would let me know in the comments if you have a weird collection. This is a judgment-free zone. Yeah, let me know. But anyways, back to Kylie. Her collection is really random, and it's easy to think that it probably has to do with fashion or beauty or skincare, but it turns out it is not even close to that. Turns out she has a collection of rubber ducks and has been collecting them for years. When she was younger, the one thing she always asked for on her birthday was a rubber duck, and she said she still has some of her very first ones. I wonder if she'll pass them along to Stormy, because that would actually be really cute. Sliding into number 6 is the fact that she is shy. Now I know what you're thinking. The way she posts on social media, you wouldn't think that she is necessarily the shy type. She often posts pictures in barely anything clothing and in bikinis, showing off her skin and flaunting her curves. The reality is though, who she is on social media and who she is behind the scenes are two totally different people. She appears to have all the confidence in the world, but she's actually quite shy. She was speaking with People magazine when she let it slip that she is a lot more shy than people think, and in really busy situations, she gets anxious and shy very easily. She plays it off well though, especially seeing as there's cameras surrounding her every single day. She seems like a natural. So she is hiding that well. I did not picture her as like the shy type. We are halfway through and we have her secret on makeup. Forbes named her the youngest self-made billionaire after she started her own beauty company, Kylie Cosmetics. Her entire world revolves around makeup, quite literally, since it's basically her full-time income. Unlike her sister Kendall, she doesn't do modeling, and she isn't really in the fashion industry like her other Kardashian sisters. So it might surprise people to learn that even though she created a beauty empire around makeup, she doesn't actually like wearing makeup. She exposed her little secret and said that she only wears makeup because that's what her fans like to see on her social media. She says that she has a passion for makeup, but she doesn't personally like to wear it often, and that there is a difference between the two. I get that. I like makeup. Like, I'm intrigued by makeup. I like makeup. I don't like wearing it though. I can't wait to take it off. Moving along to number 4, Kylie is stubborn. Her biggest fans would love to think that they know everything about her. A big part of having celebrity status is that all your fans think they personally know you. It's kind of weird when you think about it. Like, people obsess over someone that they've never actually met and know nothing about. But even if you thought you knew what she was like, one of her traits that she might not want you knowing about is that she is incredibly stubborn. Welcome to the club, sister. I know all about that. There are many different words that can be used to describe her, and an insider dish that's stubborn is one of them. They said, I quote, "If you knew Kylie, she can be very stubborn. When she makes her decisions, she sticks by them." I mean, I feel like that's not necessarily a bad trait though. Or maybe I'm just saying that because I'm stubborn and I want to think it's a good thing, but in some cases, being stubborn isn't really a bad thing. Taking over the 3rd spot is she wants to live behind the scenes. If you look at her social media, you might get the impression that she loves all of the attention that she gets, but the truth is she doesn't. She doesn't like being recognized every time she goes out, and she would rather live a more private life. During an interview with Wonderland magazine, she said, "I want to be a businesswoman and behind the scenes. Kylie Jenner needs to retire." Girl, I hate to break it to ya, but your career is just getting started. She still chooses to live her life in the public eye, but admits that she hates a lot of the attention she gets and the pressures that come along with it. Realistically though, even if she didn't want to live in the public eye anymore, it's kind of too late for that. Like, she could never just go out and people aren't gonna freak out. In spot number 2 is her secret cousin. That's right, apparently Kylie has a cousin that has been behind the shadows this whole time. The craziest part is that she looks like a spitting image of Kylie. You may have already seen her on social media. Her name is Natalie Zettel, and she's the youngest cousin of the family and is a low-key Instagram model. People recently caught on to this unknown little fact, and no one is really sure why we are just finding this out. Natalie is the daughter of Kris Jenner's younger sister. People found out about her after a picture of her and Kylie started surfacing on the internet. When you see them together side by side without all the makeup and hair and wigs and all of that, you can tell that they're related, and it's kind of cute. She's beautiful. Finally, we have made it to number 1, and we have her pregnancy was unexpected. All right, so the majority of us, this isn't really a secret. I feel like we all assumed this anyway, but it's totally not fair to judge someone that we don't even know on whether or not they planned on getting pregnant. Because really, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. The world went into a frenzy when the rumors first started, and Kylie completely went MIA and hid it from the entire world. When she first found out about her pregnancy, she wanted to keep that moment for herself rather than live it out in front of the world, where she says that she would have been judged for it, which she probably would have because she was so young. She admits that she did not plan on getting pregnant, but that it was the most amazing experience nonetheless. I mean, I get it. If I was her age and had that platform and I unexpectedly got pregnant, the amount of anxiety I would have, I wouldn't even want to tell my own parents, let alone the entire world.
Number 10, grave shopping. Window shopping is not weird. We all love to mindlessly walk around a store that we know well and good we will be purchasing nothing from. But the Kardashian family doesn't go to Hot Topic, or maybe they do. I live in Toronto, I've never seen them. Instead, this family likes to window shop for coffins and grave plots. During an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, momager Kris decided that the best gift she could get for her kids was a nice, comfortable place to keep their lifeless husks tucked away when they pass. Kris and the crew spent the day trying to decide what model of coffin they wanted to purchase, with Kris going so far as to getting into a coffin to see if it was cozy. Hey Kris, if you're trying to get cozy in a coffin, you're still alive! Bang on that lid, man! On top of shopping for physical coffins, she also took the kids on a tour of a graveyard that seemed to boast some pretty stellar plots. There is such a serious conversation over the choice of in the ground or in a mausoleum made of marble. Yeah, which one do you think they picked? Number 9, mystery meat. Following a brief discussion on the practice of eating the stuff that comes out after we're born, yep, that's a thing apparently, Kim and Kourtney decided to hatch a plot where they would trick their family into thinking they had just eaten placenta. There, I'm only saying it once, from now on it'll be called the stuff. The sisters go through an elaborate preparation and brag to their family about the mystery meat that they had purchased. As the evening went on, they continued to plant the seeds right up until the forks were plunged deep into the meat. Following the meal, they decided that it was the perfect time to tell their family they had just dined on the stuff. Of course, their immediate reaction is is disgust and anger at the same time. Don't eat mystery meat, guys, especially if it's cooked by Kim Kardashian. That could be a person for all you know. They let the prank play out for some time, with Caitlyn Jenner almost blowing her chunks all over the table. After a few moments of panic, they let it slip that the meat that they were eating had actually been brisket. But needless to say, Kim's no longer in charge of family dinner night. Number 8. The Pepsi commercial. Sponsored brand deals can mean a lot of money for the people involved. Just look at every cologne on the planet. They hire someone to stand on a beach for them for like 30 seconds and make $1 million. Around 2017, Kendall Jenner decided to partner with the soda brand Pepsi to create a commercial that would act as both an ad and a PSA against hate. The commercial consisted of hundreds of people from different parts of the world drinking Pepsi, and eventually everyone comes together on the streets on what appeared to be New York, I'm not sure. Kendall looks to the crowd, wipes off her makeup, and follows suit. And the cringe comes when the crowd of people appear to be at a standoff with the police. Kendall walks through the crowd and hands an officer a can of Pepsi. He sips it, and the crowd cheers before they swarm the cops, who are suddenly just cool with everything that's going on. The ad was meant to be a political statement following the passing of several African American men and women in the United States, aiming to bring people together, which it did, but for the wrong reasons. The world collectively cringed at this absolute mess, forcing Kendall to drop an apology video on that season's premiere of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She may have apologized, but we will still never forget this strange brand collaboration. Number 7. The birthday suit shoot. Momager Kris Jenner has been a big part of the family unit for a long time. In fact, she's one of the main reasons that her kids are such good liars. The older we get, the more we clamor for our glory days. With Kris, she decided she wanted to recapture that youthful image in a birthday suit swimsuit at her home. During the episode titled Let It Go, the Kardashian kids enter their backyard only to discover that their mother is taking rather spicy photos in a see-through swimsuit. Not something that anyone wants to see their mom doing. Kris was quick to tell the girls there was nothing wrong with the shoot and that she was simply trying to show off her curves, but her clan wanted none of it and instead let their mother know exactly how they felt. The momager just continues to take photos despite her kids now being present at the home, and at one point Kim literally tells her mom that she's scarring them for life. The moment was more awkward than anything else, but certainly shows just how little regard Kris actually has for her kids. Number 6. Selfie! If you're a Kardashian, any moment is a good photo op, whether it's on a luxurious boat in the Caribbean or in an SUV on the way to jail. Anytime is selfie time. During an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, the crew are on their way to drop Khloe off at prison after she violated her probation. Things in the car were intense, but Kim decided to diffuse the tension by snapping a couple of candid pics of herself and her sisters. The entire ride was filled with cringy moments, including Kris suggesting that they all go get some pre-jail IHOP and chill out. The funniest thing about the moment is that Khloe seems pretty calm and collected considering she's going to jail, while her mother is just furious from start to finish. Needless to say, if your sibling is being arrested, don't take family photos on the way to the prison. Number 5. Shut your mouth. When Scott Disick was still with Kourtney Kardashian, he was a regular wild man on the show. He would regularly get into situations that made him look like the absolute worst, which he was. During one particularly rough moment on the show, Scott was accompanied by the rest of the crew to Las Vegas, Nevada for some wholesome family fun. Nah, I'm just kidding, they drank no-no juice a lot. At one point, Scott becomes so intoxicated that he loses control of his emotions and berates a waiter for simply doing his job. He then proceeds to give him a tip by jamming $100 in his mouth. The waiter pushed back and walks away, which is probably a good move. If Scott Disick shoved $100 in my mouth, well, I'm poor, I'd probably take it and spend it on my hydro bill. Scott is one of the messiest members of the family, despite not being a bloodborne Kardashian, but thankfully Kourtney eventually came to her senses and dumped him like yesterday's lunch. Number 4. Kylie's billions. Kylie Jenner made the cover of Forbes magazine in 2019 as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta, which was like a beauty salon company. It turned out that that wasn't actually the case though. Jenner allegedly sold half of her cosmetics company, Kylie Cosmetics, to the beauty giant Coty in a deal worth $1.2 billion. Now this was huge and considered to be one of the greatest celebrity cash outs of all time. But the first rule of being a famous person is, if you can help it, maybe try not to lie, especially to Forbes magazine, who did some digging and revealed that Jenner was actually inflating the size and profit margins of her business. It turns out that the cosmetic brand was actually much smaller than originally thought, and it was uncovered that Jenner only actually made about $314 million after taxes from the company. The revelation was briefly covered on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but it was ultimately edited to make the situation look less severe than it actually was. The reality was Kylie was lying about her money, tricking people who wanted to invest, and let's not even start with where her cosmetics come from. It's understaffed factories with non-protective gear. Good luck, Kylie! Number 3. 2020 who cares? In 2020, while most of the world was shut down and we were all forced to stay in our houses, the rich and powerful were living it up, especially the Kardashian family. Despite the entire world throwing a close sign over their doors, Kim and her sisters decided they cared more about seeing their buddies than saving the world. Kim rented a private island for her 40th birthday, an entire island for about 30 people. Yeah, that makes sense. Kim decided to post photos and videos from the event, which were of course met with immediate backlash. Kim was quick to defend herself by claiming that every person there had stayed inside and away from people for at least 2 weeks. They all tested negative, blah blah blah. In her post, she claimed that the event was to help herself and her friends feel normal during a particularly hard time in history. Hey man, I would've liked to do that too, but I don't have any K's in my name. Not only did Kim throw a lavish private party, but her sister Kendall did the exact same thing, only much worse. Kendall decided it would be an awesome idea to throw a private rooftop Halloween party in Hollywood, California, and invited not 30, but 100 of her closest friends. Again, the crew claimed that everyone attending the event was tested and good to go, but the reality was nobody knows what went down or where they came from. Most of them probably showed up in a helicopter or something. Freaking famous jerks. Number 2, cut the cucumber. Alright, anybody who's ever made a meal has probably chopped a vegetable once or twice. For me, it was only once, never again. For Kendall Jenner, it seems like the answer is she's never done it. During an episode of the latest version of the reality show, The Kardashians, Kendall was shot attempting to cut a cucumber, and I do mean attempting. Like in the footage, she moves her hands around in a weird way that makes her like chop the cucumber backwards. I don't know. This woman has clearly never taken a single cooking class in her life. And I'd like to thank my high school cooking teacher, Mr. Kenzel, for being so good at his job and preventing me from looking like this. Seriously, she was holding the already cut side of the cucumber trying to grip it. Like, just watch one YouTube tutorial. The moment went viral online and she received massive amounts of online hate, with many asking the question why she was trying to make herself a snack. Like, we all know that these people have a literal closet full of chefs waiting to be activated and put into cook mode. Next time, Kendall should just go on Amazon and buy the automatic cucumber slicer for 3 easy payments of $99.99. And at number 1, girls don't work these days. In March 2022, the Kardashian clan were doing a profile for the outlet Variety. When the question was asked, what advice do you have for women aiming to be entrepreneurs? Kim decided to declare that women simply needed to get off their bums and work. Nobody wants to work these days. The tone-deaf statement was met with massive amounts of backlash. Considering Kim comes from a long line of wealthy people, it's no surprise that she would receive such public hate. If I was born rich, I'd probably be telling people to work harder too, but like, Kim gets paid to basically look good and be on TV, that's it. Oh yeah, definitely hard work being done there. Oh, so exhausting.
At number 10, Kim's nannies. Kim Kardashian is arguably the most famous of the Kardashian sisters and also seems to be the busiest. For example, Kim has 4 kids, a skincare line, her Skims brand, she's attending law school, co-founded an equity team, and recently even hopped on the podcast train. And that's all on top of filming their new reality show on Hulu. You may be asking yourself, how does one woman do all that by herself? She pays people to do it for her, duh. Kardashian has multiple assistants and nannies to help her stay above the overwhelming workload, but has been known to treat them as lesser than her. For instance, on several occasions, Kim and her daughter North would go to lunch accompanied by their nanny, but Kim made her not only sit at a separate table away from them at the restaurant, known to make her nannies walk at least 10 feet away from her at all times. If they walk near her or attempt to walk side by side, apparently she blows up on them behind closed doors. Needless to say, she has had many nannies over the years and has probably made them all cry at least once. At number 9, Kourtney in general. While Kim may not be the best boss in the world, it's Kourtney who is known as the absolute worst boss of all time. According to former nannies, Kourtney was by far the worst Kardashian to work for. Not only is she a neat freak, needing every single thing to be exactly where it should be, she's also known for being surprisingly cheap, even once calling a different grocery store while she was shopping to compare the price of a chicken breast, because if anyone needs that extra 99 cents, it's Kourtney. But this isn't the worst thing she's done. One time, Kourtney's daughter had bitten a nanny so hard that she had to quit, but instead of letting it go and taking responsibility for not teaching her daughter how to treat people, she berated the nanny, telling her she should have said something to her daughter in the moment. Because it makes sense to blame the woman you're paying to raise your kid instead of the kid herself to prevent future incidents. At number 8, toxic chemicals. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan and is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. I'm not sure Forbes knows what self-made means, but this collaboration would allow Jenner's brand, previously only available online and at pop-up stores, to be placed on shelves in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores. This is unfortunate considering considering the true nature of just where those products come from. Many employees at the factory that mixed and packaged her makeup and beauty products have been reported that they were never given proper safety equipment that one would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and face completely exposed. Workers would regularly report migraines and mild chemical burns on their hands. I know they say beauty is pain, but I don't think this is what they meant. At number 7, Victoria. Victoria Valero has been Kylie Jenner's close personal assistant since 2015, but the pair go back to 2014 when Valero was interning as a personal assistant for Kris Jenner. After gaining the family's trust, she was hired as Kylie's house manager and soon after became her personal assistant. Victoria and Jenner became very close over the years, and she was even present at the secret birth of Kylie's daughter Stormi. You would think with being so close to the family, it would be through thick and thin, right? Well, all good things must come to an end as Victoria quit in 2019. Many fans allege that she had quit to focus on becoming an Instagram influencer, but that was far from her real reason for leaving. Being around that family means seeing a lot of stuff and doing a lot of stuff. Victoria was basically in charge of scheduling Kylie's life. Booking appointments, meetings, massages, all of this is stressful enough, basically being a 24/7 gig, but the job was also very degrading, with Kylie even having Victoria pull out a stool and set it up outside so that Kylie could get out of her car smoother. I think anyone in their right mind would want to get out of that job as soon as possible. At number 6, GoFundMe. In March 2021, Kylie shared an Instagram post asking for prayers for one of her makeup artists, Samuel Rhoda, with the post redirecting fans to a GoFundMe page where they were asked to donate money to cover his medical bills for an upcoming surgery. That's right, the woman who got a feature on Forbes' top 60 self-made women list was asking her fans to donate some of their money. Why would Kylie herself not just use some of her billions of dollars to cover the bills? Well, she went online to claim that her and Sam didn't know each other on a personal level. She had worked with him a few years prior and thought he was a sweetheart. Supposedly, her current makeup artist had shared a post about Samuel's accident, which included a link to a GoFundMe campaign created by his family. She went on to let fans know that she herself donated $5,000. Okay, sure, that's a ton of money to most of us, but for Jenner, that's like $5. Something tells me the surgery would be a lot more than that. This is just another instance proving Kylie is the worst, because I know she would drop more than that on a purse. At number 5, the lawsuit. In March of 2021, a lawsuit was arranged by several of Kim's former employees. The plaintiffs claimed that Kardashian failed to pay them overtime, cover expenses, and provide legally mandated breaks. The employees also never received actual pay stubs or any proof of payment whatsoever. They were also made to purchase everything out of pocket, and one plaintiff was even fired on the spot for simply addressing his concerns to Kim. Then, when the rest were eventually let go, they received no type of severance package or pay of any kind. It was also uncovered that Kim would keep 10% of all their earnings for tax purposes, but failed to report their employment to tax authorities. Kim argued that she couldn't be held responsible because most of her employees were apparently hired and paid through third-party companies, meaning Kim herself was technically not their direct employer and therefore cannot be liable. Kim maintains that she paid people on time and that they were suing the wrong person, but if that were the case, Kardashian would have used her high status and influence long ago to make things work for her staff, and maybe she wouldn't have gotten sued by them. At number 4, Kim and Kanye. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West started dating in 2012 and were officially married in 2014. During their marriage, life was rocky to say the least. While Kim was fairly tame for the most part, as we all know, Kanye's mental health was slowly slipping. He began posting hate speech and racially fueled tweets, as well as constantly sharing his political views and publicly backing Donald Trump. Is it really any surprise that Kim found comfort in another man's arms? While hosting SNL in 2021, Kim met Pete Davidson while still married to Kanye. We'll cover their side in another entry. Kanye discovered that Kim and Pete began dating following the live show and seemed to be the final breaking point. Apparently, only a few months before the show, Ye and Kim were constantly arguing about everything. Following their divorce, Kim revealed that she would constantly try to help Ye understand why his views and words were wrong. She wanted him to get better, but instead he doubled down and filed for a divorce. Kim is now happily single and received joint custody of her 4 kids, so it's a win-win for the Kardashian clan and for Kanye. At number 3, they don't pay. While the Kardashians have had their problems with staff individually, there seems to be one specifically toxic trait the family shares as a unit. They don't pay people. Former employees have come forward over the years calling out the family for not paying them fair wages and no overtime hours. The Kardashians don't cover expenses including gas, food, rent. Everything is out of the employee's pocket with zero money coming back. To make matters worse, the Kardashians would not pay them on set paydays, meaning you just got paid when you got paid and had to deal with it. You would think with the family being one of the richest in the world that they would at least pay pay the people that help run their lives. While they have a massive staff of people cooking their food, folding their clothes, and raising their children, they barely even acknowledge their existence. Just imagine what would happen if the staff decided to walk out. The family would crumble in less than a day. At number 2, paid-in exposure. When Andre Turbia, famous YouTube animator and content creator, was asked to work with Kylie Jenner, he thought that his life would change forever. He was under the impression that the collaboration would grant him a huge amount of money, possibly a guest spot on a reality show, and maybe some shoutouts online via Instagram and Twitter. However, when Andre brought up the topic of his compensation to Jenner, she responded with, "The company doesn't really have a budget right now, so we're going to have to pay you in exposure." Like, hey, that's cool, but you can't cook exposure in a frying pan and eat it for dinner, nor is it a currency accepted at most gas stations or banks. And by exposure, she meant Andre's name being in a small print underneath her content. Andre did what anyone in their right mind would do in that situation and refused to work with her, telling her to take that exposure and shove it where the sun don't shine. And at number 1, lied about their wealth. Oh, not enough proof for ya? Well, here you go. As mentioned earlier in this list, Kylie Jenner made the cover of Forbes magazine in 2019 as the youngest self-made billionaire, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta Beauty. Well, it turns out that wasn't really the case. Jenner allegedly sold half of her company, Kylie Cosmetics, to beauty giant Coty in a deal worth $1.2 billion. This was huge and considered one of the greatest celebrity cash outs of all time. But the first rule of being a famous person is, if you can help it, try not to lie. Especially to Forbes magazine, who did some digging and revealed that Jenner was actually inflating the size and profit margins of her business. It turns out the cosmetic brand was on a much smaller scale than originally thought. As it was uncovered, Jenner only actually made around $314 million after taxes for the company. Several financial advisors backed up the story, claiming that they were berated into complying with the lie and made to help maintain the numbers for the public. Mother of the family, Kris, even played a key role in gathering false business documents to send to Forbes, making her company appear to be in the billions. Remember, if you can't figure something out, just ask mom.
In at number 10, Nick Lachey. Nick Lachey also exposed Kim for being a little too friendly with the paparazzi in order to get some publicity from him. The singer claims that Kim might have only been dating him for publicity. Apparently, the pair only dated for about a week, and some shady stuff went down. One time he said, let's just say this, "We went to a movie, no one followed us there. Somehow, mysteriously, when we left, there were 30 photographers waiting outside." And I think from that story, it's very clear that Kim was tipping off the paparazzi, so there would be photos of them together. And if you didn't already know, unless someone is like incredibly famous, if they're a paparazzi when they are out, they definitely tipped off that paparazzi. And at number 9, Jon Hamm. The Mad Men star definitely has some choice words for the Kardashians, and based off what he said, it's clear he does not like the family and doesn't approve of how they rose to fame. With him telling LUK, whether it's Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian or whoever, stupidity is certainly celebrated. Being an idiot is a valuable commodity in this culture because you're rewarded significantly. It's celebrated. It doesn't make sense to me. So clearly he doesn't like the reality TV stars whatsoever and doesn't like how our society praises socialites like Paris Hilton and the Kardashians. And like, I kinda get where he's going. Like, you know, he has some valid points. And at number 8, Kristin Cavallari. Kristin Cavallari has a very interesting relationship with the Kardashian Jenner clan. It all started when Kristin dated Brody Jenner, and through that relationship she also became friends with the Kardashians. But after Brody and Kristin broke up, there was tension between Kristin and Kourtney Kardashian. After Kourtney caught Scott out with Kristin while they were in an off period. And after that, Kristin called out the family for using that information as a publicity stunt to get viewers to their show. And allegedly, after rumors broke that Kristin and Scott were having an affair, the Kardashians refused to deny it and instead waited to address it on their show, leaving Kristin looking like, you know, the bad, terrible other woman when it just wasn't even true. More than a little shady if you ask me. And at number 7, Barack Obama. Former President Barack Obama also couldn't hold his tongue when talking about the famous family. And it's definitely quite the compliment when the president is speaking about you. Or is it? The former president was talking about the changing dynamics of the American dream and how it's shifting with time, saying, "There was not that window into the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Kids weren't monitoring every day what Kim Kardashian was wearing or where Kanye West was going on vacation, and thinking that somehow was the mark of success." And ouch, here it's pretty obvious he was throwing some major shade their way. And he doesn't seem to like how they are now the standard for what success is. And apparently Kanye West did not like those comments and actually fired back at the president. But also, since Obama was a former president, you know,
I trust his opinion and judgment way more than Kanye's. And at number 6, Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries was someone who probably challenged the Kardashian family the most and exposed secrets about them I'm sure they did not want out. Kim and Kris got married in one of the most lavish televised ceremonies ever, but famously, after only 72 days, the couple split because Kim was having second thoughts. But based off how much content their reality shows got because of that relationship, then the breakup, Kris called Kim out for fraud, arguing that the whole relationship was just a publicity stunt. And their divorce was so messy it lasted 2 whole years before it was finalized. But during the massive trial, Kris exposed that a lot of the Kardashian show was scripted, and that the show purposefully made him look bad. Like when him and Scott threw a party in one episode while the girls were out of town, and they looked really horrible for going behind their backs when they told them not to have the party. The whole thing was actually just a huge sham, with Kim and Kourtney knowing about the party and acting like they didn't know for TV, in turn making Kris look like a terrible husband when it literally wasn't like that at all. Halfway at number 5, Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson revealed on a radio show that she was presented an opportunity to present an award with Kendall and Kylie Jenner, but Wilson ended up turning it down, with her saying in the interview, "I got asked to present with Kendall and Kylie at the recent VMAs and said no. It's not that you hate any of them individually, but it's just that everything they stand for is against everything I stand for, and they're not famous for talent. I've worked really hard to get where I've gotten to." And even though a lot of people who dislike the Kardashians share the same sentiments, Oprah Winfrey actually came to their defense against Wilson, if you can believe it, with Oprah saying that she couldn't believe how hard the family works, referencing when she filmed the family for Oprah's show, with crews taping the family for 7 hours straight, and then they filmed more of their reality show after. So, as we all know, the Kardashian family really works very hard, even though it doesn't seem like they do too much. And at number 4, Bette Midler. After Kim uploaded her incredibly famous nude selfie where she covered her, nether regions with just like black bars, the internet went ablaze talking about it. One of the people that didn't hold their tongue was Bette Midler, who tweeted out, "Kim Kardashian tweeted a nude selfie today. If Kim wants us to see a part of her we've never seen, she's gonna have to swallow the camera." Which, come on, you have to admit, it's pretty hilarious. Like, even if you like the Kardashians, it's a good tweet. As a clapback, Kim tweeted out that it was past Bette's bedtime and that she was a fake friend. And Bette responded back, "Looks like anyone can take a selfie, but not everyone can take a joke." And then she lightened the tension by posting her own nude. When talking about the feud later, Bette had no hard feelings and said she takes Twitter pretty lightly and hoping that Kim did the same. Hopefully Kim wasn't actually too peeved about that. I mean, come on, it was clearly a joke. I don't know. And at number 3, Wendy Williams. If you watch Wendy's show, which I definitely do on occasion, she spills the tea like nobody else, then you know she does not like the Kardashians and is always very blunt when talking about them. But Wendy got the spot of a Kardashian hater when she made some shady comments about Kim after her robbery incident. And when talking about the incident in Paris, Wendy said, "I would hope that she's not making any part of this up for dramatic effect. Because this family, they're kind of soulless. You can't believe everything that you hear." But this was very, very upsetting. And although I do not agree with Wendy at all that the Paris incident was a publicity stunt, a lot of people did feel that the incident could have been exaggerated by the family for views, with people citing numerous times in the past that this has happened with the family. And again, I do not agree, but she just brought it up as kind of a possibility, and obviously, she loves to shade them whenever she can. And at number 2, Blac Chyna. Blac Chyna is another Kardashian ex who was ousted from the family after her and Rob's relationship ended. And you know that whatever went down was bad, because the family is still nice to Tristan and not Chyna, even though Tristan is arguably way worse and embarrassed them so much more. The first of the feud was surrounding the fact that Kylie started dating Tyga, who was Chyna's ex. Then Chyna started dating Rob, and then the two got engaged and then pregnant very quickly. But after they had Dream, the whole thing fell apart and Chyna and the Kardashians were facing off on social media. Chyna even filed a lawsuit against the family, claiming that they stopped her show Rob and Chyna from getting a second season. A judge dismissed that case, but Chyna still shades the Kardashians whenever she can. And at number 1, Anna Wintour. This last one is something that I had no idea existed, but it's probably the shadiest one of all. So Vogue is one of the most prestigious magazines to be on the cover of, and Kim Kardashian and Kanye West were put on the cover in a very controversial move by the magazine's editor, Anna Wintour. When talking about the criticism, she noted that it would be a misstep to ignore the couple's influence, and she made the choice to lead and deal with the backlash rather than follow. And all of that praise to the couple is, all well and good, until she gives them quite a backhanded compliment, saying, "I think if we just remain deeply tasteful and just put deeply tasteful people on the cover, it would be a rather boring magazine. Nobody would talk about us." And although I totally get what she's trying to say, calling the couple, deeply untasteful is definitely more than a little shady. But I mean, if anyone can shade anyone, it's Anna Wintour. She can shade whoever she wants. Alright guys, let me know what you're thinking about this one below. Which celebrity do you think was the shadiest, and how much do you trust the family? As you guys know, I personally love them so much, but I can also see times when it seemed that getting publicity is all that they really cared about.
Number 10. Kim's nannies. Kim Kardashian is arguably one of the most famous of the Kardashian sisters, and it would also seem she's the busiest. For example, Kim has 4 kids, a skincare line, her Skims brand, she's attending law school, co-founded an equity team, and even recently hopped on the podcast train. In addition to filming her new reality show on Hulu. You may be asking yourself, how does one woman do all of that by herself? Well, she pays people to do it for her, duh. She has multiple assistants and nannies to help her stay above the overwhelming workload, but has been known to treat them as lesser than herself. For instance, on several occasions, Kim and her daughter North would go to lunch accompanied by a nanny, but Kim would always make her nanny sit at a separate table far away from them when they were in restaurants. But she is known to make her nannies also walk at least 10 feet away from her at all times. Unless she has multiple nannies with her at once, then she likes to make them stand in a V formation because it looks cool apparently. If they walk near her or attempt to try and walk side by side, she blows up at them behind closed doors. And needless to say, she has had many nannies over the year and has probably made a lot of them cry at least once. Number 9. Kourtney in general. While Kim may not be the best boss in the world, it's Kourtney who is known as the absolute worst boss of all time. According to former nannies, Kourtney was by far the worst Kardashian to work for. Not only is she a neat freak needing every single thing to be exactly where it should be, but she's also known for being surprisingly cheap, even once calling a grocery store while she was shopping to compare the prices of a chicken breast. Because, if anyone needs that extra 99 cents, it's Kourtney. But this isn't the worst thing she's done. At one time, Kourtney's daughter had bitten a nanny so hard that she had to quit. But instead of letting it go and taking responsibility for not teaching her daughter how to act properly, she actually berated the nanny and told her that she should have said something to her daughter in the moment. Cause yes, blame the woman that you're paying to raise your child instead of the child itself, who's probably got some kind of an abandonment issue. Number 8. Toxic chemicals. Kylie Jenner is the youngest of the Kardashian clan, is extremely successful for her age. In 2019, she made the cover of Forbes magazine as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand and Ulta, a beauty salon company, which would allow the brand previously only available online and in random pop-up stores to be placed on shelves in Ulta's 1,000 plus stores. This is unfortunate considering the true nature of just where those products come from. You see, many employees at the factory that mix and package her makeup have reported that they were never given any proper safety equipment that one would require to do that job. They were only given hairnets, lab coats, and safety goggles, leaving their hands and faces completely exposed. And workers would regularly report migraines, mild chemical burns on their hands, and a myriad of other symptoms. If this isn't bad enough, they were also forced to act as human test subjects for Kylie's new products. Now, Kylie was very proud of her company not testing products on animals, but we can agree that using people like guinea pigs is like a billion times worse, right guys? Number 7. The underpay. While the Kardashians have had their problems with staff individually, there seems to be one specifically toxic trait that the family shares as a unit. They don't like to pay people. Former employees have come forward over the years calling out the family for not paying them fair wages or overtime hours. The Kardashians don't cover expenses, meaning gas, food, rent, anything that you need is paid out of pocket, with zero money coming back to you. To make matters worse, the Kardashians wouldn't pay them on a set amount of days, meaning you just kinda gotta check when you gotta check and had to deal with it in between A and B. You would think with the family being one of the richest in the world that they would at least pay the people that help run their lives. Now, while they have a massive staff of people cooking their food, folding their clothes, and raising their children, they barely even acknowledge their existence. Just imagine what would happen if that staff decided to walk out. The family would crumble in less than a day. Number 6. Factory workers. Popping back to Kylie's makeup factory for a moment, we felt the need to split her misdoings into 2 separate entries simply because of just how messed up this place really is. Not only do they not have proper safety equipment and are basically used as human test subjects whenever Kylie wants, the factory itself is small and cramped, with many employees claiming that there were too many workers and not enough space. This description sounds very similar to, a sweatshop, which is a word describing a workplace in which the employees work ridiculous hours and brutal conditions for nearly nothing for pay. And a lot of people agreed with that statement. One former tester recounts having to constantly go back and forth to the bathroom as her anxiety was always through the roof. She was around so many people so much of her day, and it was such a terrible work environment. We completely understand the need to escape. At one point a few years back, Kylie even refused to pay her employees at a garment factory in Bangladesh, leaving thousands of employees with no money and no idea when or if they were going to return to work. Man, you know what? You suck, Kylie. Number 5, Victoria. Victoria Valero has been Kylie's close personal assistant since 2015, but the pair go back to 2014 when she was interning as a personal assistant for Kylie's mother, Kris. After gaining the family's trust, she was hired as Kylie's house manager at first, but soon after became her personal assistant. Herself and Jenner became very close over the years, and Victoria was even present at the secret birth of Kylie's daughter, Stormi. Now you would think with being so close to the family through thick and thin that she would want to stick around, right? Well, all good things must come to an end, as Victoria decided to quit in 2019. Many fans allege that she had just quit her job to focus on becoming an Instagram influencer, but that was far from her real reason for leaving. Being in that family means seeing a lot of stuff and doing a lot of stuff, and Victoria was basically in charge of scheduling Kylie's life, booking appointments, meetings, massages, all of this stressful enough, basically being a 24/7 gig, but the job was also very degrading, with Kylie having Victoria even pull out a stool once and set it up outside so that Kylie could get out of her car smoother. I think anyone in their right mind would want to get out of that job as quickly as possible. Number 4, paid in exposure. When Andre Turbia, a very famous YouTube animator and content creator, was asked to work with Kylie Jenner, he thought that his life would change forever. He was under the impression that the collaboration would grant him a huge amount of money, possibly a guest spot on her reality TV show, and maybe some shoutouts online via Instagram and Twitter. However, when Andre brought up the topic of his compensations to Jenner, she responded with, the company doesn't actually have a budget right now to pay you, so we're just gonna have to pay you in exposure. Like, okay, that's cool. You can't cook exposure in a frying pan and eat it for dinner though, and I'm pretty sure it's not currency accepted at any gas stations or banks that I know of. And of course, by exposure, she meant that Andre's name was going to be printed as small as possible underneath her content. Andre did what anyone in their right mind would do in that situation and refused to work with her, telling her to take her exposure and shove it where the sun don't shine. Number 3, GoFundMe. In March 2021, Kylie, look, she's back again, shared an Instagram post asking for prayers for one of her makeup artist named Samuel Rhoda. The post redirected fans to a GoFundMe page where they were asking to donate money for covering his medical bills for an upcoming surgery. That's right, the woman made a feature on Forbes' top 60 self-made women and was asking her fans to give over the goods. So why would she not just use some of her billions of dollars to cover the bills herself? Well, she went online to claim that her and Sam didn't actually know each other personally, but she had worked with him a few years ago and thought that he was a sweetheart. Supposedly, her current makeup artist had shared a post about Samuel's accident, which included a link to a GoFundMe campaign created by his family. She went on to let fans know that she herself donated like $5,000. Okay, sure, that's a ton of money for us, but for Jenner, that's like $5. So something tells me the surgery is going to be a little bit more than that. This is just another instance proving that Kylie is the absolute worst. Number 2, Forbes flub. I'm sorry, was that not enough proof for you that Kylie sucks? Well, hey, here you go. As mentioned earlier in this list, Kylie Jenner made the cover of Forbes magazine in 2019 as the youngest self-made billionaire ever, following the successful partnership between her cosmetic brand, named after herself, and Ulta, a beauty salon company. Well, it turned out that wasn't really the case. Jenner allegedly sold half of her cosmetics company, Kylie Cosmetics, to beauty giant Coty in a deal worth $1.2 billion. Now, this was huge and considered one of the greatest celebrity cash outs of all time, but the first rule of being a famous person is, if you can help it, try not to lie. Especially to like Forbes magazine, who did some digging and revealed that Jenner was actually inflating the size and profit margins of her business. It turned out the cosmetic brand was on a much smaller scale than originally thought, as it was uncovered Jenner only actually made around $314 million after taxes for her company. Several financial advisors backed up the story, claiming that they were berated into complying with the lie and made to help maintain the numbers for publicity's sake. The mother of the family, Kris, even played a key role in gathering false business documents to send to Forbes, making her company appear to be in the billions. Remember, if you can't figure something out, just ask mom. And number 1, the lawsuit. In March of 2021, a lawsuit was arranged by several of Kim's former employees. The plaintiffs claim Kardashian West failed to pay overtime, cover expenses, or provide any legally mandated breaks, which, like, hey, super illegal. They also never received actual pay stubs or any proof of payment whatsoever. They were also made to purchase everything out of pocket, and one plaintiff was even fired on the spot for simply addressing his concerns to Kim. And when the rest were eventually let go, they received no type of severance package or pay of any kind. It was also uncovered that Kim would keep 10% of all of their earnings for tax purposes, but failed to report their employment to tax authorities. Kim's argument was that she could not be held responsible for any of this, as most of her employees were supposedly hired and paid by a third-party company, meaning that she herself was not technically their direct employer and therefore could not be liable. Kim maintains that she paid people on time and that they were suing the wrong person, but if that were the case, maybe Kardashian would have used some of her high status and influence long ago to make things work for her staff so that, hey, maybe she wouldn't be getting sued right now. Something to think about, Kim.
I think it's safe to say that we're all getting catfished by celebrities. Nearly every big name in Hollywood has had something done to their face or bodies, whether that be surgical, cosmetic, or otherwise. Probably one of the best examples of celebrity catfishing has to be the Kardashian-Jenner family, because their appearance isn't always what it seems. When you think of Kim K, you might picture her one way, but she might look much different in real life, and when you think of Kylie Jenner, it might be the same case. Kylie has been in the public eye for years, and we've seen her grow and evolve her look over time, but what does the real Kylie look like? Starting off with Kylie's ever-changing hair. Let's talk about what is real versus what is fake. We know that Kylie is no stranger to changing up her do. In the past, she's dyed her hair all kinds of different colors, including her famous bright teal ombre that she rocked back in 2014, and she's rocked different lengths as well. Kylie started wearing hair extensions back in 2010, but in recent years, she's mostly been wearing wigs, going from floor-length black hair to bright yellow, shorter length hair in a blink of an eye. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years Kylie released a hair collection called Kylie Wigs or something. She once said that she started wigs, but obviously that isn't exactly true. Because she changes up her look so often, people have a hard time keeping up with what her real hair looks like, so when she shares pictures of what her natural hair looks like, it becomes a big deal. To me, that's kind of funny. Like, imagine your brand is being so fake that when you show your real self, it makes headlines. Can't relate, but carry on. Over the course of the pandemic and the first lockdown, we saw many celebs, including Kylie, showing off their natural selves since there was nothing to get glammed for. And one of the things that was exposed was Kylie's natural hair. Over the time that she's been participating in social distancing, she shared with her followers that she was going on a hair journey, probably to repair the damage that she had done to it over an extended period of time. Her hair at this time is dyed a lighter brown color, bleached from its natural dark brown. Since there is no big gala or event to go to, Kylie has been embracing her natural self, and it's a good thing. It's time to show people that you don't need perfect hair to be beautiful. Moving on, Kylie's skin is one of the things that people have a problem with, and I'm not talking about her skincare line. However, that did get some mixed reviews. Cue Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star making fun of it.
I don't like that it has a fragrance. I don't think it should, but hey, that's just me.
Kylie has been receiving a lot of negative attention for the way her skin looks because people accuse her of blackfishing and looking fake. Kylie often gets spray tans, making herself look darker, and some have even accused her of darkening her tan in photos as well. There have been side-by-side images of Kylie compared to black celebrities, and people point out how similarly their skin looks. Kylie's skin is not naturally that tan, and we recently saw what she looks like without the tans, makeup, or filters when she was photographed by paparazzi during lockdown. In real life, she's much paler and looks like a normal human being rather than the glam model that she poses as on social media. But it's not just the tan that she fakes, but also her complexion. A lot of the time, many celebrities, including Kylie, of course, airbrush their photos and use filters to make their skin look smoother and clearer, but that's not something that every person can relate to. Yes, we all want to look our best, but the makeup and filters aren't real, and there is truth underneath. Kylie has posted photos without filters to show what her skin looks like in real life. And you can see minor blemishes, which is perfectly fine. She's only human after all. Kylie has also posted a few no makeup selfies that shows off something that we rarely get to see in her other highly edited photos, which are her freckles. Kylie hides so much under fake tans and makeup, so seeing the real her is actually pretty refreshing. Now, do you guys remember back in 2015 when the Kylie Jenner lip challenge was a thing? There were so many YouTubers trying it and viral vines of the challenge going wrong, and it even got to the point where doctors were hopping on news shows to warn parents about their kids doing this challenge. So many people wanted lips like Kylie, but unfortunately, if you didn't have the money to pay for fillers, most people turned to vacuuming their lips onto bottle caps or cups. It even prompted the invention of many tools to plump your lips with the same kind of suction. Kylie kept getting lip fillers and kept up with her big lip brand, even creating her lip kit for Kylie Cosmetics around the trend of overlining your lips to make them look bigger. She had fillers until 2018 after the birth of her daughter Stormi, where she announced that she had her lip fillers dissolved. It had been a while since the world saw Kylie's real lips for the way they were before, and we all got used to their new fuller shape, but don't forget that this is what she looked like before all the cosmetic work was done. Her fillerless look didn't last very long, since she got them back about 3 months after having them removed. But why did she get them in the first place? Well, according to Kylie, she wanted to get lip fillers ever since a boy commented on how thin her lips were as a young teen. It became something that she was very self-conscious about, and so she corrected this by getting cosmetic procedures done. When she got her fillers taken out in 2018, even if it was for a brief time, she got a lot of praise for embracing her natural self, and a lot of her fans commented on how much better she looked. But it's her body and she can do whatever she wants with it. But speaking of bodies, something that a lot of people seemingly like commenting on is other people's bodies. Now, I'm a big believer in body positivity and also body neutrality. Basically, it's my thought that everyone is beautiful no matter what they look like and what size they are, whatever imperfections they believe they have, and really anything makes you unique. But I also believe that your body is there to keep you alive and that you don't need to suffer to achieve a perfect look. All you have to do is take care of yourself and your body, and that's all that matters. Many celebrities and their presence on social media kind of go against this, as they often post their skinniest or curviest posts, and a lot of people, especially young people, look up to this and think that this is what they must strive for. So seeing people like Kim K and Kylie Jenner with their tiny waists and big booties wearing their waist trainers and shapewear isn't exactly realistic for everyone. Just because that's what they look like online and in magazines doesn't mean they really look like that in real life. Though Kylie has never confirmed any plastic surgery other than getting lip fillers, a lot of people believe that she's gotten surgery on her body, enhancing her curves and making her look like her sisters with their signature bodies. Now, it could be real or it could be fake, but the bottom line is that you don't know and you don't have to strive to look like these people, especially if their looks are paid for and not grown. Kylie Jenner looks different in real life. This we know for certain. Whether it's her real hair that she hides beneath wigs and extensions, or her skin that she alters through tanning and makeup, or her lips that she alters through filters and cosmetics, or even her body that she shows off using her small little waist trainers and diet techniques. Nothing on social media is ever 100% real, but that's okay, to an extent. It's fine if you want to change things to make yourself feel better, but don't forget to be honest about it. And remind other people that you are not the standard for beauty and that beauty is subjective. Everyone can be an Instagram model if they want to be, and nothing has to change. You just have to be confident, because that is the most beautiful quality anyone can have.
At number 10, we have Kris's known manipulation and exploitation tactics. Kris managed to land herself a talk show deal in 2013, but her show struggled with ratings, and Kris was soon pulling all types of wild stunts to rack up the viewer count and overall interest of the general public. One of these instances involved Kris making an announcement of, quote, introducing someone very special to her audience. Of course, when she walked in with a baby, everyone had naturally assumed it would be Northwest, who had yet to be revealed to the world at that point. However, the baby ended up being her stylist's newborn. Luckily for her show's future, after that stunt, Kris managed to score the first exclusive picture of North, which was revealed on her show alongside guest Kanye West. At number 9, we have Kris's over-the-top behavior. For starters, she has the Keeping Up with the Kardashian theme as her doorbell tune. Not only this, but in 2018,
2016, Kris officially filed to trademark the term momager. She even apparently owns a personalized bathrobe with the same term across the back. I'd say it's low-key weird that she decided to trademark being a manager and a mom, since there are many who existed before her and continue to exist after her. Also, don't get me started on the artwork in the foyer of her home that shows her and her family covered by a painting of Snow White eating the poisoned apple. And while we're on the topic of her home, unsurprisingly enough, if you ever decide to pop a visit to Kardashian, you'll be super glad to know that there's a featured table with a pile of hundreds of non-disclosure agreement papers positioned for anyone who enters to sign before they're welcomed in. Nearby there's a frame which quotes the old saying, "What we say here, we see here. Let it stay here when we leave here." At number 8, we have her obsession with appearances. Tying into the last part of the point before, Kris has done far more to keep up with her and her family's untouchable image. 6 weeks before Kim's wedding to Kris Humphries in 2012, Kris got her neck and face lifted to ensure she looked her best for their big day. Following this, she described the surgery as transcendental and a life-changing experience. At number 7, we have her children and how much distance they've put between them and their mother. Robert, for one, completely removed himself from his entire family, as Kris would make constant overbearing comments about his weight and personality. Whether or not she knew this was damaging to Rob over time, it was, so that should say a lot about Kris's parenting skills and family dynamics over the years. Even Kendall, who seems to be doing really well for herself and avoiding the reality portion of her Kardashian expectations, has banned Kris and the rest of her family from almost all of her shows. Kendall did this due to the paparazzi and fans creating buzz over her entire family instead of her at her own events. It's genuinely sad that her mom has spent so many years chasing fame and big bucks that Kendall can't even attend her own shows without the media going into a straight frenzy. Despite most children wanting their parents to be with them while they achieve success, Kendall would rather not, and really, I don't blame her. At number 6, we have probably the weirdest red flag on this list, and that's Kris copying Kim's style. Kim has openly complained non-stop on their show about how annoyed she is over her mom copying her sense of fashion and, quote, stealing her spotlight. Of course, Kris seems to be a bit unreasonable in this sense, but hey, I'm not a parent, so what would I know? As a daughter myself though, if my mom ever started directly jacking my style, I'd like to think I'd make a big deal out of it too. It's quite tacky and really irritating for parents to try to be cool and act like more of a best friend rather than a parent to their kids, and that shows through the Kardashian children's upbringings. Of course, there's no problem in being a friend to your child, but there has to be boundaries to this and lines that are not crossed. Unfortunately, I don't think Kris understands this because she's constantly stepping into the friend zone, and in turn, her mothering pretty much goes out the window. At number 5, we have Kris Jenner's selfish tendencies. She is remarkably such a parent in a sense where everything has to go her way and under her saying, but she seems to go so overboard with this ideology. The driveway looking a certain way to their neighbors, if they were to ever use it for its actual purpose, because God forbid anyone did that, is just one instance of many. There's also the fact that not one single being, especially a man, has the ability to divide their family unless it benefits them on the fame scale. And if they do manage to squeegee their way in, they're completely pushed out of the picture to make room for someone who's willing to get the job done. I mean, if this is what we're seeing on screen, can you imagine the absolute self-centered and selfish behavior she exudes when the cameras aren't rolling? Not to mention, she enjoys playing favorites and even once stated that Kim was her favorite daughter of the bunch. I mean, it's obvious why, as Kim is responsible for the entire Kardashian startup, but it's still grossly wrong for a parent to enable this type of mindset. At number 4, we have Kris, who used to constantly ignore the Jenner sisters. As their stepmom, by no means is it her official responsibility to care for them, but at the very least, just acknowledge them. Back when Caitlyn identified as Bruce and Kris was still a Jenner by choice, Kris was displayed on the show to constantly shy away from spending any extra time with Kendall or Kylie, or even simply being in their presence. The trio never looked quite comfortable being alone together, and the Jenner sisters were rarely or reluctantly invited to their family vacations. And this wouldn't necessarily be as bad if their family's loads of boyfriends weren't also being invited to these family vacations, while 2 of their key players are missing. I'm not sure if it's because Kris didn't consider them to be hers, or if they weren't bringing in enough bank at the time to be important, but it does strike me as odd how much she seems to love and always want them around now that they're both huge household names. At number 3, we have Kim, a grown woman with her own children now, accusing her mother of being a bad parent. This just seems to be the icing on the cake of truth in regards to actually being a bad mom, when your own daughter raising a family is the one airing you out, regardless of whether Kim stated this during a heated argument or not. And speaking of Kim, when she was reluctant to pose for Playboy back in 2007, Kris was all for it and told her in short, quote, honor the traditions set by Marilyn Monroe and Janet Jackson. Once Hugh Hefner demanded more nudity, Kris was also the one to insist Kim shoot nude, aside from the dozen strings of carefully placed pearls on her body, despite Kim's hesitance. Luckily, Kim took her revenge by forcing Kris to do a naked shoot of her own, donning a single American flag alongside Caitlyn's gold medal. Unsurprisingly enough, Kris pulled it off and later had the image blown up and framed. At number 2, we have Kris being the ultimate micromanaging control freak. This is literally her entire personality wrapped up in a pretty bow. Her nannies have zero room to question her or her daughters and must do everything they say, even if they don't agree with their parenting styles. Photos only happen on Kris's terms, so for the Kardashian-Jenner crew or anyone who works under them, taking photos comes at a huge price. For example, reportedly their nannies cannot take images while on the clock, especially of the kids, as this typically runs for a lot of money for publications. Kris forces her daughters to follow guidelines when they post on social media. They even have a fee schedule confirmed by Kris herself. Kris must micromanage at all times, and by this, she must run her household exactly how she sees fit. At number 1, we have Kris's uncanny ability to bank off her family. She self-brands herself as Grandmager amongst her Momager title, so it's no surprise she was elated to learn there would be 3 new bundles of joy expanding her family. Obviously, her emotions were routed in a different kind of happiness though, as she only really sees the monetary value in her current grandchildren. At one point, Kim, Kylie, and Khloe were all set to welcome their children into the bunch around the same time, and all Kris saw were dollar signs amidst the news. She later opened up about the possibilities of releasing a Keeping Up with the Kardashians spin-off centered around her and her 6 grandkids, Mason, Penelope, Rain, North, Saint, and Dream. If that doesn't tell you this is Kris's biggest red flag, I'm just not sure what will.